This video is to debate Aristotle and Plato.
To determine the better philosopher.
Aristotle's the best!
Plato was born in 428 BC, also known as the final ages of the Golden Years. He grew up during the Peloponnesian War, and he was educated in philosophy and poetry.
Aristotle is superior to Plato because he studied Eudaimonia. Eudaimonia is a moral philosophy. It defines actions that lead to the well-being of an individual. He says that the well-being has essential value. I believe that Aristotle studying Eudaimonia is important because all individuals should strive to live a better life.
How could Aristotle want to live his life by Eudaimonia, which he thought to be so important, if he thought that women were unfinished men, Kayla?
Well, he was still practicing.
No sleep, tell the owner them is all my guys. So tonight everything is on.
Plato was concerned with both eternal and immutable things in nature. Also, morals and society. Plato believed that these two problems were one problem and the same problem. He wanted to grasp a reality that was eternal and immutable. This made Plato into an extraordinary philosopher with an extraordinary mind. We do not need to know what is internally beautiful, true, or good, like many other philosophers talk about, ignoring real topics. Plato had a profound influence on the European philosophy.
Did you know that many philosophers, including Aristotle, believe that if you focus on being a courteous person, the right actions will follow effortlessly? Woo! The reason you should be virtuous is because Eudaimonia. Having virtue just means doing the right thing at the right time and the right amount towards the right people. So the golden mean, the sweet spot, the mid between two extremes that Aristotle called vices. Vices are examples of excess and efficiency.
You have a pimple.
See, that wasn't very virtuous.
My anaconda don't.
Plato also states that we never have true knowledge of anything that is in constant change. We only have opinions. Therefore, we also cannot trust the evidence of our senses. Plato also makes us think that vision may be different from person to person. But our reason? That is the same for everyone. Examples are, if you ask someone what the prettiest color is, everybody will give different answers. But if you say, what is 8 times 3? We will all say 24.
Mr. Ogie, what is 8 times 3?
24.
Shit, since day one you been holding.
But Plato was so into eternal ideas that he did nothing with the changes in nature.
Okay, so how did he do this? What did he study in nature, Kayla?
He studied frogs, fish, and poppies. He was also Europe's first great biologist. This shows that he had an interest in the changes of nature because he thought that the human soul was purely reflections of natured objects.
Hey, Nikolai.
Who do you think is a better philosopher, Plato or Aristotle?
Well, personally, I think Aristotle is the better philosopher. Well, because he has the right view on dishwashers. Women belong in the kitchen.
And
Okay, so
I did. Ain't say your name and on my song no more. Can't waste my lyrics. I said I would come on.
Plato thought that everything flowed. There were no substances. Everything that belongs to the material world is made of material that can erode over time. Plato had stated that everything was built from a timeless mold or form, this being eternal and immutable. Like a reality behind the material world, Plato called this the world of ideas.
Aristotle thought that Plato turned everything completely upside down, but he agreed that everything flowed and no horse lived forever. So that everything is eternal and immutable. Also, the idea horse was something humans only created after seeing multiple horses. The idea or form horse was something that had no existence of its own. Aristotle believed that the idea or form horse was based on horse characteristics that we now define as the horse species.
Yeah, baby.
Overall, Plato wrote 36 dialogues, these being separated into 3 groups, that being early, middle, and late. The early ones looking deeply into Socrates' dialects, the middle dialogues looking at individual beliefs, and the late dialogues being more explorations of specific topics. Plato funded an amazing academy, also known as the world's first university. His most famous work being The Republic, it blends ethics, political philosophy, moral psychology, and metaphysics. Plato asks us questions that makes your brain think. For example, does a man have an immortal soul, and are men and women equally sensible?
What you call real? Just a little. You supposed to hold me down, but you holding me back, and that's the sound of me not calling you back.
Aristotle was one of the greatest thinkers. His work in the natural and social sciences greatly influenced modern thinking. He organized important different types of knowledge. He sorted them into physics, metaphysics, psychology, rhetorics, poetics, and logic. But a lot of his work was lost in the Middle Ages. Parts of his work on logic were saved. They are now the basis of 3 subjects. This is important and relevant because we still use his work on logic to this day.
Plato and Aristotle were both intelligent thinkers that greatly influenced the world.
They both came up with key ideas that we still use in modern day society.
Plato and Aristotle set a large foundation for philosophy to come.
Who do you think is the better philosopher?
Okay, it's on.
You should.
You suck at this.
I'll go like this, like I'm real
Yeah,
into it.
feel like you're like super passionate.
Like I'm in the.
Just do it, Kayla. Wait till I look at you though. You can't talk to me while I'm like, you know. Plato also. Me, I can't do this. I'm gonna stop it.
Plato did nothing with eternal ideas.
Oh. Plato was so into eternal ideas. You're just gonna say what's a suit, and you're just gonna say 24. You can. I think it'd be easier if you leave.
Okay. That sounds good.
Processes. Is that confident and loud?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how did Aristotle do this, Kayla? What did he study? In?
I'm sorry. What did he
Find a way to mess it up.
Aristotle, on the other hand, studied nature. Okay, eternal.
I can.
That was good.
I mean, sure.
Hey, Nikolai.
Oh, I didn't know. Saying all of it. Aristotle's the best.
Okay. This is gay.